I showed up with groceries after hearing they'd been struggling. My son-in-law took one look at the bags and said, "We don't need your pity food. You're not a hero." My daughter laughed and said, "You just want to feel needed." I left everything on the porch and drove away. But later that week, I sent them a letter and inside was something that would. Hi. I'm a 62-year-old widow from Kingsport, Tennessee. I'm not a writer, so I'm just going to tell this story the only way I know how. Straight. My daughter, Haley, is 34. Middle child. Always had something to prove. When she was little, she was the kind of girl who'd run headfirst into a wall before she ever admitted she needed help. She's smart, stubborn, and when she's hurting, she lashes out. I know that. I've lived through it. I thought I'd seen the worst of it. I was wrong. Haley married Travis about 5 years ago. He works, or used to work, in HVAC. She stayed home with their daughter, Lily, who just turned 3. Travis always rubbed me the wrong way. He talks like he knows everything and never listens. Always dismissing people. He talks down to Haley, and sometimes he doesn't even try to hide it. But Haley would get defensive any time I hinted at it. "You just don't like him because he's not like Dad," she told me once. That wasn't it. Not at all. My late husband, Frank, had his flaws, but he treated people with respect. Travis doesn't know what that word even means. Anyway, this started about a month ago. I was picking up a few things at Piggly Wiggly when I ran into Krista, Haley's old friend from high school. We made small talk, and I asked how she was doing. Then I asked about Haley. That's when Krista's face changed. "Hasn't she talked to you?" she asked. I told her not really. Just the usual texts, once in a while. A couple photos of Lily here and there. Krista said she'd seen a few of Haley's posts online that seemed off. She also said she'd heard Travis was out of work, and they might be having money problems. I didn't want to believe it, but it all started to click. I went home and checked Facebook. Haley hadn't posted much, but I did see one vague thing she shared about fighting alone and being so damn tired. No likes. No comments. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Lily, wondering if they had enough to eat. Wondering what was going on behind closed doors. I've seen enough in my life to know when something's off. I decided I wasn't going to sit around and wonder. I was going to do something. So the next morning, I drove to Food City and bought about $180 worth of groceries. Not junk. Not flashy. I got things I know: stretch, rice, beans, pasta, soup, canned tuna, peanut butter, cereal, baby wipes, toilet paper, diapers, eggs, milk, chicken. I also threw in a few things Haley used to love when she lived at home. The shortbread butter cookies and the peach Snapple tea she always stole out of the fridge. It took me 2 trips to get everything into my car. I felt good about it. I thought I was doing the right thing. I drove to Blountville, to their house. Knocked on the door. Travis answered. Shirtless. Holding a beer. It was barely noon. He looked down at the bags I was holding. Then he looked me straight in the eye and said, "We don't need your pity food. You're not a hero." I blinked. I thought I misheard. Then Haley appeared behind him. She had dark circles under her eyes and her hair was in a knot on top of her head. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. She saw the groceries and laughed. Not hard. Just a bitter little sound. "You just want to feel needed," she said. "You always have. This is about you." That one cut deep. I didn't say anything. I just nodded, set the bags down on the porch, turned around, and got back in my car. I didn't even close the trunk. I had to get away from there. Halfway back to Kingsport, I had to pull over. I was crying so hard I couldn't see the road. I wasn't crying over the wasted food. I wasn't even mad. I was hurt. I felt invisible. Like all the years I'd spent raising her, helping her through heartbreaks and bills and late nights with Lily, had meant nothing. But I didn't yell. I didn't text her back. I didn't even complain to my friends. Instead, I waited 4 days. Then I wrote a letter. In it, I told her that I loved her. I said I wasn't going to argue. I wasn't going to explain myself. But I wasn't going to let myself be treated like garbage either. I said I knew she was struggling, and that pain changes people, but it didn't give her a free pass to treat me like trash. Then I included something else. When Haley was 16, she was a mess. Drinking, skipping school, lying. One night she ran away. We found her a day later at her friend's place. When she came home, she wouldn't speak. For 3 days she gave me the silent treatment. Then, on the 4th day, I found a letter on my pillow. She wrote, "You never give up on me. You're always there. I don't say thank you enough. One day, I'll be better. I promise." I'd kept that letter in my Bible for 18 years. I made a copy and put it in the envelope. Below it, I wrote, "I'm still here. But I won't let you tear me down to feel better. I love you enough to step away." I sent it Thursday morning. That Sunday, I got a voicemail. It was Haley. Her voice cracked halfway through. "Mom. I'm sorry. I found the groceries. He threw them out. I pulled what I could from the trash. I read the letter. I forgot I ever wrote that. You were right. You were always there. I don't know who I am anymore. I think I need help." I didn't call her back right away. I waited. Because I had already started digging. I had this gut feeling for years that Travis wasn't just rude. He was dangerous. And I had just found someone who could prove it. Haley didn't know that while she was figuring out how to say sorry, I was on the phone with someone I hadn't spoken to in almost 4 years. Her name is Vanessa. She used to date Travis before he met Haley. They were together for about 2 years. Back when Haley and Travis first got serious, Vanessa called me. Warned me. I didn't listen. I thought maybe she was bitter. Maybe jealous. I didn't know her well, and Haley said she was just one of his crazy exes. That phrase always bothered me. Crazy ex. Easy way to shut someone up. After everything that happened, I remembered that phone call. And I still had her number, written in an old address book I never threw out. So I called her. At first, she didn't answer. I left a message. Just said I was Haley's mom, and I wanted to talk. She called back that night. "Is he hitting her?" were the first words out of her mouth. I froze. I hadn't even thought of that. I mean, I hoped not. But when someone asks that without hesitation, it makes your stomach turn. I told her I didn't know, but something wasn't right. I told her about the groceries. About the way he spoke. About how Haley looked. Vanessa told me her story. And it was worse than I imagined. Travis never hit her, not exactly. But he did everything else. Cut her off from friends. Controlled the money. Made her think she was crazy. If she questioned him, he'd twist her words until she was apologizing for things she didn't do. He'd scream in her face, throw things at the wall, then pretend nothing happened the next day. She said he always made her feel like a burden. Like she should be grateful he hadn't given up on her yet. She said he isolated her from her family. Got her fired from her job by constantly showing up and starting drama. Then, once she had nothing left, he cheated on her and left her with thousands in debt. And then she said something that made the hairs on my arms stand up. "He's doing it again. Isn't he?" I didn't answer. I didn't have to. She asked me if Haley worked. I said no. She asked if Travis still had control of the bank accounts. I said I thought so. She sighed. He's got her right where he wants her. Broke, tired, ashamed. The next morning, I went to my lawyer. Not to start a lawsuit, but to protect Haley and my granddaughter, Lily. Because I had a feeling things were going to get worse before they got better. See, what Haley didn't know was that Travis had been arrested 6 months before he met her, for assault. It was some bar fight in Johnson City. He'd smashed a bottle over another guy's head. The charges got dropped after a plea deal, but it was on public record. I found it online. I printed it out. I also went through old text messages, screenshots, anything I could find. I built a folder. I didn't know what I was going to do with it yet, but I wanted to be ready. Then I waited. 2 weeks passed. I didn't hear from Haley again. Not a word. But I heard from my neighbor's son, Chris, who works at the Walmart near their house. He said he saw Haley there, alone, with Lily, buying groceries with coins and small bills. She looked pale, and she was holding her phone like she was afraid it would ring. That night, I drove back to their neighborhood. I didn't knock. I didn't get out of my car. I just sat there, watching from across the street. After about 30 minutes, the front door slammed open. Travis stormed out. He was yelling. Loud enough I could hear even from the car. "You want to live like your mother, huh? Go ahead. Run back to her. Go let her save you." I saw Haley standing in the doorway, holding Lily. She wasn't crying. She looked numb. He peeled out of the driveway in his pickup and sped down the street. I waited 5 minutes, then drove up. Got out. Haley didn't say anything. She just handed me Lily, like she'd been waiting to do it all along. She came with me without a word. We went back to my place. I made her tea. She sat at the kitchen table, still in her shoes, and just stared at the wall. Then she finally spoke. "He smashed my phone yesterday. Said I was ignoring him." She pulled up her sleeve. Bruises. Faint, but there. That was it for me. I took photos. I called my lawyer again. Then I made a new plan. One that involved not just helping Haley, but making sure Travis couldn't do this to anyone ever again. I let Haley stay in the guest room with Lily. That first night, she barely slept. Neither did I. She sat up holding the baby, rocking her all night like she was afraid if she let go, something would happen. The next morning, I made breakfast. Haley didn't eat much, but she drank the coffee. She looked different. Like someone who'd been in a storm for too long and couldn't tell if it was really over. Around 10 a.m., Travis started calling. First it was her number. Then mine. I didn't answer either. He left voicemails. The first few were calm. "Just bring her home. We can talk." Then came the angry ones. "You think you can steal my family from me? You and that old hag are both gonna regret this." By noon, he'd sent over 20 messages. He said he'd call the cops and say I kidnapped his daughter. That's when I called my lawyer again. We filed for an emergency protective order. The bruises, the voicemails, the smashed phone, everything helped. I told Haley it would only hold for a short time, but it'd buy us some peace. She nodded, but her eyes were far away. That night, after Lily fell asleep, Haley and I sat in the living room. She finally told me everything. He'd been fired 6 months earlier, not laid off like he said. He'd gotten into it with a customer, screamed in the guy's face and threw a clipboard. They let him go quietly to avoid legal trouble. After that, he stayed home drinking and blaming everyone else. She picked up side work, watching kids, cleaning houses, but he called it her little hobbies. He wouldn't let her get a real job. Said if she worked outside the house, she'd cheat on him. The night I brought the groceries? He had already told her not to ask me for anything. Told her I'd try to play the savior and that she needed to act normal if I ever showed up. He threw the bags into the trash the second I left. You know what he said after you drove off? She asked, looking straight at me. He said, even your mother thinks you're pathetic. That did something to me. A kind of quiet rage. I told her about Vanessa. I showed her the police record. I showed her everything I'd collected. She didn't cry. She just said, I knew I wasn't crazy. The next few days, we stayed quiet. Travis didn't stop calling, but the tone changed again. Begging. Promising. He said he'd go to therapy. Said he missed Lily. Then he showed up at my house. I saw him pull up through the window. I told Haley to take Lily to the back room and lock the door. He rang the bell. Then pounded. I stepped out onto the porch. Get off my property, I said. He laughed. Where is she? You come near her again, I'll have you arrested. You think the cops give a damn? She's my wife. He stepped forward. I stepped back and showed him the manila folder I was holding. The one with the bruises, the court order, the police record, and a copy of the letter Haley wrote me at 16. I said, you don't get to rewrite the story this time. He didn't speak. Just stared. For a second, I saw something shift behind his eyes. Like a mask falling. No more charm. Just raw hate. Then he turned and walked back to his truck. Peeled out again. But I wasn't done. I'd been thinking about something Vanessa told me during our call. She said, he never loses. He just waits till people give up. So I didn't give up. I got in touch with his old employer. The one who let him go. I told them everything. They wouldn't talk at first. But once I mentioned the incident and said I had reason to believe he was still threatening people, someone finally admitted there had been a payout, a hush agreement with the guy he attacked. I asked them for a copy. They said they couldn't legally share it. But they did confirm the incident, off the record. And that's when it hit me. If he'd been violent at work, and violent at home, and had a record, even if charges were dropped, what else was out there? I filed a Freedom of Information request with Sullivan County. It took a few days. Then I got it. 3 years ago, there was a call to their old apartment. A neighbor had reported screaming, loud banging, and a woman crying. The cops came. No charges were filed. But the call was logged. I printed everything. Made more copies. Labeled every file. Then I called Vanessa again. And together, we came up with a plan. Vanessa and I met at a diner in Johnson City. We spread the paperwork out between coffee cups and cold fries. I brought everything I had. She brought what she'd kept, texts, voicemails, even photos of a hole Travis had punched through a wall next to her head years ago. Are you sure you want to do this? I asked her. She looked at me. He destroyed 5 years of my life. You bet I'm sure. We made a folder and titled it, Travis P. Pattern of Abuse. We sent it to the Sullivan County DA, the Sheriff's Department, CPS, and even his last employer again. Vanessa also posted a public thread online, on Facebook and Reddit, with her story. It caught fire. Other women started commenting. One had dated Travis in high school. Said he once left her stranded 40 miles from home because she questioned him in front of his friends. Haley wasn't ready to speak publicly, but she gave Vanessa permission to mention her case anonymously. The bruises, the court order, the smashed phone. It worked. Within 2 days, CPS opened an inquiry, standard with a child involved and multiple reports of domestic violence. The Sheriff's Department reopened the old call logs. Vanessa's story got picked up by a local blog. Travis's name was now searchable online next to domestic abuse pattern. Then came the final blow. A woman named Darla reached out. She was a paralegal who used to rent to Travis and Haley. She had an old copy of a lease that Travis had forged Haley's signature on after they separated briefly a year prior. He'd added her to it so she'd be legally stuck paying if he bailed. Forgery. Fraud. Darla gave us the copy. I took it to my lawyer. He called the DA's office himself. That same week, Travis showed up drunk at the old house, pounding on the door, yelling. The neighbors called the police. He was arrested for violating the protective order and drunk and disorderly conduct. That's when everything unraveled. While in custody, the DA added the forgery to the charges. Then someone from his old job came forward and admitted Travis had threatened them after he got fired. Said he called them at home, told them to watch their back. Harassment. Intimidation. More charges. Travis was released on bail, but now he was a pariah. No job, no friends, and nowhere to go. His truck got repossessed 2 weeks later. Haley filed for divorce. It wasn't easy. He contested everything. Said she was mentally unstable, said I was turning her against him, said she was keeping his daughter from him. But I'd made sure everything was documented. The photos. The bruises. The threats. The logs. The forged lease. The arrest. The judge didn't buy his act. Haley got full custody. He got supervised visits, pending anger management and therapy. But he never showed up for the sessions. Within 3 months, his parental rights were under review. And then came the twist I didn't expect. Haley sat me down one night and said she wanted to move away. Not far, just a fresh start. She said she was grateful, but she needed space to figure out who she was without me, without him, without all the damage. At first, I felt a sting. I thought I was being left behind again. But then I realized, this time, she wasn't running. She was healing. I helped her move to a small apartment in Elizabethton. She got a part-time job at a bakery. Lily started daycare. They were okay. Better than okay. Haley called me every day for a while. Then every few days. Then once a week. She was building something of her own. As for me, I started volunteering at a local women's shelter. I brought cookies and groceries, but more than that, I listened. I sat with women who were scared to leave. Scared to be alone. Scared no one would believe them. I told them what I wish someone had told Haley sooner. You're not crazy. You're not weak. And you don't owe anyone silence. As for Travis, he disappeared from town. Last I heard, he tried to apply for a maintenance job and got denied after a background check. No one wants to hire a man with 2 active court cases and a public smear trail 10 pages long. Some people said I ruined his life. I didn't. He did that himself. All I did was hold up a mirror. And finally, after years of trying to be everything for everyone, I stopped trying to save people who wanted to stay broken. I just stood by the ones who were ready to rebuild. And that, I learned, is more than enough.